Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos, hoping that you're doing well today, wherever you are across the world on Facebook. We're coming to you live from our studios in Troy, Alabama, as we start a Tuesday. Mike, already moving on to the 12th of June. Mike Amos calling in from Birmingham this morning. Auburn loses a heartbreak. Auburn loses a heartbreak. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, Florida was the number one seed and went to extra innings, and in the 11th, Auburn gave up a home run. And
in what inning was that? The 11th inning?
Yeah, walk-off victory.
Who was that guy from Florida that did that?
I can't remember his name. He had been robbed earlier by an unbelievable diving catch.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that probably would have won the game for Florida then. But Auburn had its chances. They had two runners on with two outs in the 9th or the 10th, but couldn't get a run across. And, Auburn, what a phenomenal season. Florida, of course, won the national championship last year, and it's been the Omaha now 4 straight years. But Butch Thompson's done a great job with that baseball program, and they're really young. So the future looks awfully bright. The only issue is Butch Thompson used to be at Mississippi State. Mississippi State, of course, has made the College World Series under an interim coach, but a lot of people say that he would be one of the number one candidates for that Mississippi State job. So I don't know what will happen. Mississippi State is in the process of finishing a $61 million baseball stadium. It's supposed to be the nicest in the country.
Yeah. Well, I know this, that Mississippi State had a great program, but so does Auburn. And,
Auburn doesn't have any kind of program compared to Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State's dominant program in the SEC. They hadn't been in the College World Series since 1997.
Yeah, I realize that. Of course, heartbreaker for Auburn last night as they lose in the 11th inning, and Florida will now be going to the College World Series in Omaha starting next week.
So all three teams that Troy beat, Duke, Auburn, and Tennessee Tech, all got beat yesterday. Tennessee Tech got beat in the Austin Regional of Texas. Cody Clemens again hit a home run, Roger Clemens' son.
Boy, I tell you what, I'd go after that guy. Man, I tell you.
I can't believe he went the first pick in the third round. I mean, how in the world was that guy not a first-round pick?
Somebody told me he's hit something like a home run in the last how many games or something. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers he's putting up. He's not a real big guy. He's only 6 foot, 185 pounds.
Yeah. Of course, his daddy was a Hall of Fame pitcher and, pitched for Texas. I remember when he pitched in the College World Series. What a great pitcher he was. Of course,
it's going to be interesting to see if he ever gets in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Of course, he got, caught with various steroid use and PED use and kind of, put a huge kind of question mark on his career and if he'll ever make it in the Major League Hall of Fame. I don't know if he will. He won 350 games.
I know it. A phenomenal pitcher, no question about it.
He didn't need steroids. He was already a Hall of Famer.
I know it.
But I think these guys were so competitive towards the end of their careers. Barry Bonds the same way, that they looked for anything they could to keep them young and keep them,
I remember Texas had him, but they also had another pitcher on that staff that was real good that went to the major leagues. There were two of them.
Greg Swindell's on that stuff.
Yeah, Swindell. Man, how can you remember all that stuff, son?
The only reason I remember is because during the baseball tournament in Athens, Greg Swindell was the color analyst.
That's right. Swindell was he and Clemens were buddies, and they pitched on the same team that won the World Series.
It's those Texas teams back there were dominant. That's what I didn't realize until the other day. I was looking. Texas has now been to the College World Series 36 times.
Oh yeah,
I would call way more than anybody else.
I would call Texas and Southern Cal now used to go to the World Series every year. They had some great teams. And then, of course, Oklahoma State's always had good teams. But you're right. If you started looking at the great baseball programs in the country, Texas would have to be one of them, along with.
For a long time, there was a school, Wichita State, that was really good.
They sure were. No question about it. Of course, Mike, good news out of Troy this morning. Troy promotes Mike Worley has been elevated as assistant coach, and men, what a great guy Mike Worley is.
Yeah, if anybody deserves that, it's Coach Worley. He's been
Oh,
there
he
since
is.
Cunningham's been there.
He is a great guy, and now he's a full-fledged member of the coaching staff. He was a sort of operations guy before, but I've dealt with him several times over the years, and he is just a great guy, and he was an outstanding coach at one time in the junior college ranks. He coached a team, Mike, one time that went 33-3 in the junior college national championship, and of course.
Wow.
He's been with Troy ever since Coach Cunningham had been here, and now they do elevate him to the regular staff position as a coach, and I'm tickled pink, and I think Troy will benefit from it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a situation where it should be an easy transition for him to just step off onto the court and start coaching. I'm sure he's coached a lot already. I saw him and Coach Cunningham do a basketball clinic up in Montgomery one day at the Alabama High School State coaches clinic, and they actually had put a court up there at the Renaissance where the Ben is, and they were coaching, doing a clinic, but the players they were using were Faulkner University players.
Exactly right. Yeah, get him a cup of coffee.
I guess they had to have players out there to kind of demonstrate what they were trying to teach.
Yeah. Mike, former Clemson quarterback Hunter Johnson, you remember him, was considered the top quarterback in the country. Well, he is transferring.
Yeah, he went to Northwestern. That's a strange move.
I know it. Transferring from Clemson to play at Northwestern, and I think he can play right away. No. They say he's going to sit out. He is going to have to sit out. But again, a guy that everybody thought would be Clemson's quarterback is now going to Northwestern. He's from Brownsville, Indiana, and was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the 2007 signing draft. And his brother Cole.
Fitzgerald's done a good job at Northwestern. I mean, I think they won 10 games last year.
So yeah, and of course his brother Cole played for Northwestern. So you know who else sent their kids to Northwestern, don't you? Musso, the great Johnny Musso, sent both of his boys to Northwestern, and they were all outstanding players. And of course, everybody knows who the Italian stallion was. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Sonny Reagan going to be on our show today. The judge is going to be on our show, and we're looking forward to having him this morning. And we're going to touch on a few things. Let us know who's there, Mike. North Carolina is there. We're talking about the College World Series that starts this week.
You got North Carolina. You got Arkansas.
Arkansas is good. Florida.
Then you got Mississippi State.
That's 3 SEC teams.
Yeah, it was really tough in the regionals. They had a situation where there was 6 SEC teams, but they all played against each other. So
I know it. You're right.
They were guaranteed to get 3. Washington was a surprise. They're in it.
Yeah, that's right.
Washington went to Coastal Carolina, who Troy played, and Coastal was hosting. They destroyed Coastal.
And everybody thought Coastal would breeze through that region too.
Yeah, and then you got Oregon State.
And a lot of people think they're the best team in the country, especially record-wise. They won over 50 games.
Yeah, Oregon State, and then you got Texas.
Texas, yeah.
And there's one more. Who are we leaving out?
Oh boy.
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, yes, sir. And they beat Duke yesterday. And, Troy can feel pretty good because
what a season Duke had. My goodness.
You think about it, Troy shut Duke out, and that was saying a lot. And then, of course, they beat Auburn at home, and then played them real tough, lost by a run at Auburn. Troy had a great year, and I think we should really feel like jumping up and down on our baseball program right now. Tennessee Tech, who was a team that really played extremely well in the playoffs. That was a team that Troy won 2 out of 3 against, and actually had the third one won, and our bullpen fell to pieces.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what Troy does next year. They played kind of small ball, hit a lot of doubles, a lot of triples, stole a lot of bases. I'll be interested to see if Coach Smart tries to bring in some power this year.
Exactly.
When you have guys like this year that hit for a higher average and can get on, as far as either a walk or a base hit. But, it makes it tough to string together a lot of runs. It's pretty easy when you hit that 3-run home run every once in a while.
No question about it. How many home runs did Texas?
I think Troy's got to bring in some more power because they hit 40 home runs all season, something like that, 45 maybe.
Tennessee Tech out of,
they hit 136,
136 home runs. Was that a national record?
No, that was a record since they've changed the bats. They changed the bats several years ago because there were so many home runs. Tim Hudson, I don't know if people remember, he was a great pitcher at Auburn, of course, great pitcher in the Major League.
Hit a bunch of home runs too, didn't he?
But when he was at Auburn his senior year, he hit 29 home runs.
Isn't that amazing? You're right, no question about it. And of course, a lot going on.
Then all you had to do is make solid contact, and it was going out.
Mike, they say Keith Holcomb is trying to decide on whether to play baseball, play football at Alabama.
I think his football career is over.
And of course,
people who watched that Mississippi State game when he started, Alabama struggled at linebacker.
Yeah,
he just wasn't quick enough, and just wasn't. The instincts just weren't there. Like when they got Mac Wilson back, and Dylan Moses looked really good before he got hurt last year.
I tell you, it's exciting times as Coach. We've got a big golf tournament going on in Montgomery today, Mike, and of course all the coaches will be there, and Max Howell's going to be up there this morning. That'll be at, and of course that starts this morning.
Hopefully the rain will hold off. It looks like it's not a washout.
Yeah. But of course, we're looking forward to going up and seeing some of those guys.
Legendary Max Howell's over from Mississippi.
Yeah, he'll be there, and several other Win Lakes today. Are you gonna play, Steve? Yeah. Steve Camp, Mike, the guy that runs this place, is gonna be up there today.
Yeah, I saw Steve was at Shoal Creek the other day.
You saw him at Shoal Creek. What was he doing at Shoal Creek?
I don't know. He said that was his office for the day.
Well, I know this. He had a great time, no question about it. Of course, Mississippi State beat Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt is out of the World Series. And Mississippi State, a team that Troy played just a few weeks ago, Mike, is now a team that is really playing great baseball.
Yeah, Coach Henderson took the program over after 2 games after Mississippi State's coach got fired for some off-the-field stuff, and he used to be the head coach in Kentucky. So, I don't know if that helps him, become a top contender to get that job or not. He takes him to the College World Series, which is a huge deal. Mississippi State's got a great program that's been in the College World Series several times, but have never won it. So, I don't know if this is the year. Their top player is a guy named Magnum. And, his dad was John Magnum.
Yeah, that's right. He played at Alabama. Is that right?
Yeah, and then his brother, Chris, played on the national championship team, and then he transferred to Ole Miss, but he ended up playing several years in the pros as well. Yeah,
exactly right. We got a great show for you, ladies and gentlemen. Sonny Reagan is our guest today, and we're going to talk to him right after these messages from our sponsors. We'll be right back to Today in L.A.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Here at Town & Country, we are proud to be an American.
We've had you covered on the inside since 2005, and with our addition of Southern Grill and Patio, we now have you covered on the outside. Come see our great selection, where we make sure grilling and relaxing go hand in hand.
Welcome to Trojan Detail.
Hey, I've been hunting. I got my truck filtered. Can you get it?
We surely can. We do work for Bill Jackson Chevrolet and Troy Nissan.
You do work for Bill Jackson Chevrolet?
Yes, we do.
Hey, I got a motorcycle.
We do them as well.
Tori Dunn from Dixie Trails. You get your truck washed here?
I sure do.
Billy Johnson. I know you're not bringing them cow trucks over here.
I do, and they're like me when I leave.
Loretta, what are you doing?
I'm here at Trojan Detail getting my car detailed.
Bring your vehicle to Trojan Detail. We do it all.
Napa know-how. Here's some Napa know-how for you. Your local Napa Auto Parts store in Troy is under new ownership with an all-new fully stocked store. Big deal, you say? Big deal, we say. Like the ownership, the store has a new look, too. We're still delivering the same Napa quality and know-how, but we've increased our inventory and are committed to helping you find the parts you need when you need them. So come check us out. We've got the right part at the right price at the right time. Know-how, Napa know-how.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
And back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, and we're honored to have a good friend of ours on our show today, Sonny Reagan, Judge Sonny Reagan. How's that sound?
It sounds good. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And of course, grab that mic right over there. Now, and while we're grabbing the mic, no, not that, just the string right there, and sort of hook it on. We can hear you good anyway. But Sonny Reagan is going to get used to the mics. I promise you. Of course, Sonny, tell us a little bit about what has happened to you in the last month.
Well, I've enjoyed running. I've never ran for office before, so this is my first time, and it's been a good experience. I've enjoyed getting to meet a lot of new folks, especially in Pike County that I hadn't met before, and made some new friends, and have got to hear a lot of what the folks are focused on and what they want out of their next judge. And but it's been a good time.
Of course, he is the new circuit judge in representing how many counties?
2 counties, Coffee and Pike County.
Coffee and Pike, and of course you ran a tough run. I mean, I tell you, the guy that ran against you, the bright young man.
He is. I can't say enough good things about Josh Wilson. We worked together. I was in court with him yesterday. And I've got a lot of respect for him.
Isn't that amazing? Y'all were going at it. It made me, because that was a tough election. Because he had a lot of strength in the Pike County area and the Elba area, and of course you out of Enterprise, and so y'all did know each other pretty well, didn't you?
Absolutely. We met before we both started running, and made a commitment to each other. We want to keep it professional, and we did. And I respect him a lot. But we're friends and colleagues.
And that's the way it should be. And, of course, absolutely. I'm sure y'all will see each other in court.
We will.
And, of course, Sonny Reagan now the judge. And Mark Head, is that who you took his position?
Judge
or what?
Tom Head? Yes, sir. He'll be retiring.
Not Mark Head, but Thomas Head.
Well, if you think about it, when Judge Head's retiring and Judge Hightower.
That's right, yeah.
And so Pike County is losing almost 70 years of judicial experience. So this was a big deal.
In fact, Judge Hightower was, and really he's not an old man. I've watched him grow up pretty much, but he's one of the longest standing judges in Alabama. Is that right?
He is. And just a wealth of knowledge, both he and Judge Head, and I've spoken to both of them, and I plan to call on them when I need something. And they both committed to me that they would continue to mentor me and be friends. We've got a law in this state. It's kind of a crazy law that says you have to retire when you turn 70 if you're a judge.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And both of those judges, in my opinion, are at the height of their career.
Yeah, no question.
And it's unfortunate they're both having to retire due to that law.
But now, Hightower's been there, but I don't think he's close to 70 yet, though, I don't think. Hightower's not, is he?
I'm not sure.
Because I'm 70 and he's a lot younger than I am. I hate to admit that, but of course, we had him, he spoke to our Rotary Club just this last week, and we really got a good kick out of some of the stories he had to tell. And so this is the first time that you'll be actually sitting as judge instead of an attorney. Is that right?
That's right. Yes, sir. I've been a lawyer, been both a prosecutor and a defense lawyer. So I've been on both sides of the courtroom, but never up on the bench.
Yeah.
So this will be
one of your good friends, Merle Shirley, called me the other day, and of course Merle and I are old friends. We go back when he was running around in Greenville, Alabama.
Yeah.
I believe that's where he was born and raised, and of course went on to Elba and ended up playing in the SEC. Who would ever thought Merle Shirley would have played for Auburn? You know? But he's a good friend of mine, and he spoke very highly of you. And when other attorneys speak highly of you, it makes you feel good, doesn't it?
It does. I appreciate that. I've got a lot of respect for he and his son both. They're a good team out of Elba. So.
Yeah, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, Sonny Reagan is born and raised in Enterprise. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I was. My family's been there for about 5 generations, and my great-grandfather actually came to Pike County. He was a farmer in the late 1800s, so my family tree kind of started here. But I was born and raised down in Enterprise, and my mother was a Cuts, if you've ever heard of Cuts.
Yeah, I know. Is that the same people that have the restaurant?
It is.
Listen, Cuts is good, but man, we got Sisters here.
I know.
I'm gonna have to show you around all these new restaurants in Troy. That of course you'll be coming in here and being on the. You'll have you'll work out of Pike County and Coffee County.
Yes, sir. There's 3 circuit judges, and they rotate between the courthouses of Troy, Elba, and Enterprise.
Yeah, a lot of people would be surprised to know. Some people would. Is that Elba is actually the county seat? Is that right?
It is. It's Coffee County is unique in that it's a dual seat. They have a courthouse in Elba and Enterprise, but Elba is the original county seat.
And then, of course, Enterprise, with now over 30,000 people live there, they do have a courthouse there, don't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, they do.
And will you appear at that courthouse too? Or
yes,
what?
sir. All 3.
Yeah.
All 3 of the judges have an office in each one of the courthouses, so I'll be in Troy a lot.
Exactly. I like to sort of call this is your life, Sonny Reagan. Let's start, if you don't mind, from on Laid Back Television. Of course, we're on Facebook across the world. People watching you in Hong Kong and Japan today. And, of course, we're excited to have you on our show. And tell us a little bit about where you started, who your folks were, and
sure.
This is your life, Sonny Reagan.
Well, I was born and raised in Enterprise, and as we covered earlier, and grew up there, graduated high school, and went to the Enterprise Community College right out of high school, and then went to the University of Alabama on an Army ROTC scholarship.
That was nice, yeah.
It was. So after I graduated from college, I went into the Army, became a helicopter pilot.
Did you?
I did.
And you trained right there at Fort Rucker?
I did.
That's sort of unusual that a guy from Enterprise actually trains at Fort Rucker.
You meet a lot of folks that are not from here.
Exactly.
I spent a few years on active duty, and then left active duty and went and flew in the National Guard here in the state, went back to law school, and became a prosecutor in the Attorney General's office when Bill Pryor was the Attorney General.
Yes, okay.
And I worked for General Pryor and then Troy King, who's a good
General Pryor. I didn't know he was a general.
Well, Attorney General.
Attorney General.
That's funny. My son had the same reaction. He was looking for the uniform. But I worked for him and for Troy King.
Yeah.
And traveled the state and prosecuted cases. And then after that, went to work in the governor's office. And somewhere in there, I deployed to Afghanistan.
Gosh, man.
But I'm proud to be back home in Enterprise.
Did you fly helicopters in Afghanistan?
I did. I flew Chinooks.
Gosh. Man, you've been through it. You're aging yourself a little bit, and that is amazing. And, of course, I know you work with some very distinguished people. And, in fact, some of those guys, right now, let's see, you being from Enterprise and Troy being from Elba, isn't that right?
That's right. And he's still in a campaigning. He's in a runoff right now. But Troy's a good man. I have a lot of respect for him. And but it's exciting times. For sure.
Yeah, no question about it. And of course, you have really gone through the ranks, and have been involved with several outstanding people along the way. Who are some of the guys, sort of when you were growing up in Enterprise, sort of were inspirations to you?
Well, Coach Bill Bacon, our longtime football coach. I played football in high school, and Coach Larry Edens.
I know Larry and I played at Troy together.
He's a good
man. Larry, I hadn't seen or heard from him in quite a while, but Larry was originally, I want to say, from Greenville, and he, of course, taught school in the Enterprise. Is that right?
That's right. He and his wife both were teachers of mine, Sherry Edens and Larry. He sits on our county board.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, and of course we need to get him to come back to Troy more. He was,
That's
you
right.
know, he played ball here and all that, and so forth. And of course, growing up in Enterprise, a lot of tradition there, especially in football, and Coach Bacon. And I go back with some of those, some of my friends that played for the great one, that ran the Notre Dame Box.
Yep.
What was his name? The great coach. Oh gosh, I'll remember it in a few minutes. But of course, a lot of tradition there in football over the years at Enterprise. And what position did you play?
I played halfback.
Okay, God, on some pretty good teams. Is that right?
Absolutely.
There's no question about it. And of course, you know, you have sort of grown with the time. You've been practicing law how many years in Enterprise?
I've been back in Enterprise for about 4 or 5 years. I've practiced law for over 15 years.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time in state government.
Exactly.
But it's been good to be in private practice. I've seen things from a different perspective, dealing with folks as they go through difficult times.
No question about it. Yeah.
Provided me some good experience.
Yeah. Of course, that name was Morris Higginbotham.
Higginbotham.
Were you old enough to remember him?
I remember his name.
You know, Richard Dowling, good friend of mine at Dowling Truck and Tractor in Enterprise. Of course, Warren Dowling owns Dalco Rentals, and good friends of mine. And you know, all these little bitty guys. You saying he played on Enterprise's football team. You know, there were just all kinds of people that just grew up with that tradition of Enterprise football.
That's right.
And back in the old days, and of course I played against Mickey Red, Mickey Lee. You know that Mickey Lee went on to Alabama, and of course some of the all-time greats came out of that program. And you know, playing football and being a part of that program, did it give you? Don't you think it's helped you along the way? Make you a little tougher?
Absolutely. And there have been other folks too. Mr. Thad Morgan.
Oh yeah, I know him well. Yeah, the legendary Thad Morgan.
Absolutely. He was quite the experience and inspiration as well.
And you know, everybody, Bud Casey and I had this show together for 6, 7 years, and boy, you start talking about Thad Morgan, he'd spend all day doing it because he loved Thad Morgan, and he's what educators are supposed to be like. And you know, he was a hands-on guy. You know, even though he was superintendent, is that right?
He really was, and it's good that I got to experience that, you know, because you're right, it does build character.
Yeah.
And, you can see what right looks like.
Oh yeah, no question about it. And of course, growing up in Enterprise, you know, public schools are very important, and one of the best public school systems in the country, I would say.
It is, and I'm proud. We have a son who's 9. Our daughter's 7, and they're both in the public school system. And of course, I'm a product of the public school system.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're right. I think it's the hub of a community, a good school system.
And of course, Enterprise has grown. So I mean, of course, Troy is growing too, but Enterprise has really grown. What do you contribute that with, Fort Rucker or what?
You know, there is a lot of growth. I was looking. It's similar to Troy. A lot of the growth in Troy can be attributed to the university, and down in Enterprise, it's connected to the military. But I'm seeing more diversity in the growth, which is good.
Sure.
Companies coming in, but it's booming. It's always a traffic jam trying to get around there.
Of course, you know, of course, practiced law in Enterprise for all those years, 15 years or so, and then of course you worked in state government, which I think is very important. You know, that you're so diversified. Of course, you work for the governor's office, and so you've made some contacts there that are going to be very important to you. Don't you agree?
I agree. I've made some good contacts and had some good experience that I otherwise wouldn't have had if I just had stayed at home the whole time.
Of course, you know, Enterprise growing like it is, and you know, this whole general area is, and you'll actually be in court in Troy. How do you work? How do y'all work that out? You know, when will you be in Elba, and when will you be in Troy, and when will you be in Enterprise?
At the beginning of each year, they will sit down and work out the docket. But when a case is filed, it will be randomly assigned to one of the judges, and so your schedule is driven by the caseload.
And of course, now no longer will you practice law. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, sir. I've got a.
And I always wondered why y'all practice and when are y'all gonna stop practicing?
That's what people ask me all the time. But I've got a few months here. I'm winding everything down and making sure my clients are taken care of, getting prepared to assume this tremendous role.
Yeah. This morning I hope that you can take a few minutes to be with us down at Bird Drugs this morning, because you need to know where all the restaurants are and everything, because you're going to be coming in here getting ready to serve court, and you need something to eat. And, of course, downtown Troy is really getting to be quite a place. And one of those places is Bird Drugs in downtown Troy, and I'm inviting you to go to breakfast with me this
I'll be
morning.
Glad to.
And of course, tradition, and there's so many traditions over the years, and everybody goes back and talks about the great old judge from Elba. His son was sheriff. What's his name? Was the judge down in Elba for a long time, and his son was sheriff of Coffee County. I'll remember that. Judge Paul.
Yes.
The legendary Judge Ears Paul. Is that right?
That's right. And Bryce Paul was his son.
That's right.
Sheriff. Absolutely.
And what a great man he was, and and what a legacy he left out there for.
Absolutely. And Sheriff Paul, his wife, was a school teacher in the Enterprise school system. She was one of my teachers. And you're right. There's a lot of folks that have held these positions. Big shoes to fill, for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. And and of course, what led you to this? You had a successful law practice, and your salary is probably going to be decreased a little bit.
It will.
Because of you did have a very good practice in Enterprise.
You're correct, and I appreciate that. I guess what led to all this is I was looking at the experience that was leaving the bench, both in Coffee and Pike County, and I felt that I had something to offer, and I wanted to put myself out there to the voters. But I've got a servant's heart, really. I like to serve, public service, and what better way to do that than to be a judge?
I told you this the other day. I was, and of course, during that election, you see all kinds of advertisements for people. But I saw a picture of your family, and now this sounds sort of funny, but that family sort of stood out to me. That family portrait. You come from a big family.
I do. I've got a big family. They all live there.
I was trying to figure out which one was you for a while there.
Yeah, it's a close, tight-knit family, and when one of us does something, we all are in.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I'm looking forward to getting more involved in Troy. I heard you talking when I came in. I'm so proud of the baseball team.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I think I read where that was the 6th best season they've had.
I tell you what, and of course you're exactly right, and their baseball program. People when we were in the going to the regionals in Athens and played Georgia and Duke and people said, "I can't believe Troy's playing Duke." Gosh, Troy played Duke in the day of the week. Troy in baseball can play anybody. I mean, the program is a solid program, and we have great coaching. And same way with football. I mean, Troy has a solid program in football, great coaches, and basketball the same way. We're very fortunate to have all Division I sports in our community, and a lot of folks from Enterprise come over and support Troy's program, and that's the way it should be. Of course, you're going to have your Alabama fans and your Auburn fans, but hey, how about having some Troy fans too?
100%.
Aren't you proud of Troy?
Absolutely, I'm 100% proud.
And people in Enterprise can feel like Troy's a part of them, just like it's the part of Alabama and Auburn.
Absolutely, not just the success in sports, but if you look at the academic reach of Troy University,
exactly right.
How many people have benefited, not just in this community, but worldwide, all the campuses.
Exactly right, no question about it.
It's exciting to be part of that and to have Troy in this area.
course, you grew up, in Enterprise, and you played football, and you were part of with Coach Bacon and a lot of those real good teams from Enterprise. And of course, you went into the military. What made you? Of course, you had the helicopters. You've been around the helicopters all your life. I mean, if you're around Enterprise at all, you just ride anywhere you see helicopters.
That's
well,
right.
What made you decide you wanted to be a helicopter pilot? Which very few local guys became helicopter pilots.
You're right. I think the first time I ever went flying, I was about 16 years old. I come from a non-military family.
Yeah.
But I guess growing up in Enterprise, like you said, listening to the helicopters and seeing them, just kind of you get the bug. I guess that is.
Well, and so that was something that you wanted to do.
It is. It was,
which was extremely dangerous, especially in where you had to go in your career, because I remember when Russia was involved in that war over there, they got out mainly because of these handheld armor machine guns that could destroy helicopters. It was very dangerous. Did you go through some pretty tough situations?
It was, and we did. We all did, and. But I was proud to have served in that capacity. Being in the military, you're always training for that. And when the time came about to step up, I was proud that I had that opportunity.
This movie has been a couple of years back about these guys, these special forces guys that were trapped over there. Do you remember that movie?
I do. I was over there during that time.
Yeah, and you were right there in the middle of all that, weren't you? And it was extremely dangerous, wasn't it?
It was, and when you go through something like that, it gives you a perspective on life that you didn't have before. But it was. There's a lot of great folks that serve in the military.
So you've got a great military background, and I've heard that you've spoken to a lot of groups over the years. Do you still do that a lot?
I do, and I enjoy it. I've spoken to several groups here in Troy over the past few months, and look forward to coming back and speaking some more.
Of course, with the 4th of July just around the corner, and of course it's great to have patriotic people, especially that are now in the as judge in our area, and of course all of this experience has made you a stronger individual, don't you think?
Absolutely. I've benefited from everything I've ever done.
Yeah. Of course, I know you've got a big family. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Absolutely. We've got a big family. We have 2 kids. They're rising 3rd and 4th graders.
Are you serious? Wait a minute now. You mean you've got 3rd and 4th graders?
I do. We have young kids. We live about a block and a half from the school. Just gray hair.
Oh, me. I can't believe you got young kids.
And
how old are you?
I am 46.
Oh, you're young. Man, you're young. I got a son your age.
And,
you carry yourself so mature.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
But, of course, Sonny Reagan is our guest. And, of course, being a judge now, you're on the other side of the table. And I'm sure there's been times where you were, through your law practice, you've not always agreed with the judge's decision. But it does change things, doesn't it?
It does. You have to set aside, because I'm a human being and I've got views on everything. You have to set all that aside and apply the law to the facts fairly. And treat everybody equally under the law.
What type of what type of different things let's go to our phone here real quick. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Good morning, Mike. Will Matthews.
Will, you know who I've got with me today is Sonny Reagan. You know Sonny Reagan?
Of course I do. I saw it on Facebook.
Okay. Of course, Will Matthews, local attorney in Ozark. You know Will?
I know Will. How you doing this morning, Will?
I'm doing good. In fact, Sonny won't want to admit this, but I gave him some advice before he moved back down to Coffee County several years ago. He wanted to get nearer his parents. And how long have you been back, Sonny?
I've been back about 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, it's a big difference. What we were talking about is a big difference in the side of the law he's on right now. You know, he's a judge that you have to appear before a judge. Are you excited about working with Sonny?
I guarantee you, Sonny will be fair and impartial, and that's what you want in a circuit judge. I'll say this: Tom Head was as good a circuit judge. That's the judge he's taking his place. And Tom and I were friends going back 35 years ago. We were assistant DAs together way back when. And he worked for Joel Palmer from Troy, and I worked for a guy from Geneva, Ed Boswell. They both since passed away. But, oh, yeah. He'll do a great job.
Well, one thing that satisfies you, he's a strong Republican. Is that right?
I am.
And I got to know him. He was Governor Riley's legal advisor.
Yeah, I knew Governor Riley. Governor Riley's been on this seat several times. Yes, sir. Yeah.
And I was a strong Governor Riley supporter. I helped him get elected the first time. He beat Siegelman by probably 2,000 votes statewide. It was the closest election in the history of Alabama, I think. I don't know the exact vote total, but it was razor thin. Yeah. And anyway, I got involved in a case involving the country crossings down in Dothan. So I was on the different side of the governor, and the governor called me during all that. He said, "Will, don't worry about it. You got to make a living. I understand that. We still going to be friends." After that, I felt fine, about it.
What is the governor doing now? What is he doing?
He's a lobbyist.
He is. He'll tell you he's in economic development.
That's right. He's in economic development. Yeah. Well, I know this. He's well known and well respected in these parts. K.T. Cole, one of my good friends, we were together yesterday, and he and Bob Riley were real good friends. And of course, Bob Riley did a great job as governor. Will, of course, you're on the other side of the fence now. At one time, Sonny was an attorney for 15 years, and he had to do what the judge told him to do. He had to answer to the judge. It's a different ball game now. It's a different side of the law in a way. Is that right?
It is, and I've had the opportunity to learn from folks like Will Matthews, who's been an attorney for decades.
And he's not an old man either, you know.
I've been a judge for 32 years.
That's right.
And of course, everybody knows Will, and of course, Will is. He said, just personally, has said many good things about you, and of course, you'll want to hear some stories he used to have to tell about the decisions that are made by the judge, not only the most popular decision to make. Is that right?
That is correct, and
it's not a political thing, is it?
That's right, and that's why they're the judge. They get paid to make those tough decisions sometimes.
Mike, usually in these divorce cases, if both parties are not happy with the ruling, then it's probably fair.
That's right.
Oh boy. Well, I tell you, it's great to know though we've got a guy with this kind of character that is going to be our judge in the. Now, how long a term is this?
It's 6 years. Every 6 years you have to run for re-election.
Every 6 years,
yes,
and of course it's something evidently you're excited about.
I am. I'm very excited and humbled.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, Dan, do you play golf?
I do play golf.
You don't want to play golf with this guy right here now. You know that, don't you?
I do.
Will, but you know what? It does make you feel good to know the judge that you're appearing before does play golf.
He knows to follow the rules.
That's right.
Exactly right. Will Matthews calling in from Ozark this morning, and of course we're talking to Sonny Reagan, the new judge in the circuit judge for the what district?
12th Judicial Circuit.
12th Judicial Circuit. And do y'all have anybody you have to answer to?
Well, the voters, number one.
Yeah.
But of course, any decision can be appealed to the higher appellate courts in Alabama, and so I guess in a sense you answer to the appellate court.
Are you like Will though? Do y'all try to take care of everything outside of court sometimes?
We do. A lot of the domestic cases are sent to mediation because the backlog is so tremendous.
Yeah.
And there's folks that are qualified mediators that try to help parties reach a decision before they get into the courtroom.
Do you feel like you're pretty flexible?
I am. I do.
I mean, you look at the different sides of things?
Absolutely, because I've represented people on both sides. I've been on both sides of every type of issue you can imagine, and seen it from the eyes of both perspectives.
I was telling him, Merle Shirley called me the other day, and I said, Merle, man, I hadn't heard from you in forever, but he needed something, a couple of questions asked, and you know, lawyers are some of the best people at asking questions out there, aren't they?
We do that for a living, that's for sure.
Will, how do you, as a lawyer, how do you feel about Sonny Reagan as being the judge?
Oh, he's a straight-up guy. In fact, I helped him. He asked me to help him. I've got relatives in Coffee County, and I've got some friends in Troy too.
Thanks,
and I helped him, but oh, he's a straight-up guy. And I'll say this: that circuit has got 3 excellent judges. I can't say that about all the circuits. That circuit.
You better be quiet then.
Well, that circuit and our circuit, Dale and Geneva, have excellent, good folks in there that aren't nuts. Now, there are some nuts in the area.
Oh, gosh.
These 2 circuits, I'll just be frank with you.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Some that they put a robe on, and they think it turns them into God or something. And that just, you know, I've never, and now I've been a city judge in various places for 32 years or 33 years. I've never worn a robe, and I did it on purpose. I did not want to wear a robe. I've never considered myself a real judge. I'm just a part-time. I do minor stuff like traffic tickets and domestic violence and DUIs and stuff like that. You know, I don't handle sending people to prison. Now, that's tough. That's tough, sending somebody to prison.
Oh, yeah, no question. And that makes it different for you, too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Tremendous responsibility.
Do you actually determine the sentence?
They do.
The judge.
It does. And all the way up from all felony crimes, all the way up to including the death penalty.
Mm-hmm. Have you done, of course, through your practice, I know your law practice, you've dealt with all these cases, but do you feel like you're experienced well enough that can make a good decision?
I do. I've been on both sides of capital murder cases, which are most serious.
Sure.
And I've prosecuted them and defended them, and have unfortunately witnessed executions. So it's certainly a tremendous responsibility.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and then this is local more than anything else, but I get tired of reading, and you know, the Troy paper. I'm sure you take the local Troy paper, which is one of the oldest daily papers in the state, and it's got your logs on who was convicted or whatever and so forth. What gets me is the same people over and over and over are on this list. And to me, what are we going to do about that? I mean, they're continuously going before the courts, and what can we do about all that?
Well, you're right. It's called the revolving door of justice, and you see the same people over and over.
That's right.
And you've got to, when those people are convicted, you've got to sentence them appropriately to try to break that cycle.
Yeah.
And some people require going to prison for a long time. And some people that are drug addicts need rehabilitation.
That's right.
So it's the judge's job to figure out what's the best remedy.
Now, you see everything from a murder case to what type cases do you think you'll see more than anything?
Well,
robberies, whatever?
A lot of drug offenses in our 2 circuits. I know going in that's going to be a big problem. And drugs are at the root of a lot of crimes that we see in the circuit. So definitely dealing with that.
This meth thing gets really getting carried away, and hopefully we can, put these people away.
Sure, and I think it's important for a judge to determine when there's somebody in front of them if this is a drug addict, a dealer, or a recreational user, and sentence them appropriately.
And hopefully they'll find some kind of way to to cure their problem and so forth. And of course, it's great to have a judge that's coming in here that is going to be fair to all concerned. I reckon that's the most important thing you think of.
Absolutely, 100%.
And Will, what are your feelings about a good judge? What do you think it takes to be a good judge? Being
somebody to listen and do what's right. It's not that hard to do, really. My daddy was a judge until he died. In fact, he enjoyed being a judge. We practiced law together 15 years, and he was a judge the last 12 years of his life. But he really enjoyed being a judge more than practicing law, I think. But he was district court judge, so he did basically what I did, minor stuff.
But when it comes down to making a determination, though, it puts a lot of pressure on a judge. Don't you agree?
It does, and every decision's got to be thoughtful. And like Will said, if a judge really pays attention and hears all the facts and evidence and applies the law, you can usually do it.
Well, the thing that I noticed about you and your candidacy, you were very close to the people in your jurisdiction, but at the same time, the Lord is very important in your life.
Absolutely. I couldn't do and been through all the experiences, fighting in a war, and doing all the things that I've done without God being at the center of my life, for sure.
And of course, what church are you involved in?
First Baptist.
First Baptist Church, and
yes.
Now the pastor there,
Ben Bowden.
And then prior to him was
Sonny Moore.
Sonny Moore.
Yeah.
Been on this show a couple of times, and I was very impressed with him, and I'm sure you were too.
I was. We had a lot of common ground. He was prior military, and he was a good man. He still is.
You feel like your military background and your experience as a attorney will help you do a good job with this as a judge?
I do. My military experience has forced me to make some tough decisions under difficult circumstances. And, of course, that's what a judge is required to do every day.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, for years and years, you fought for your client in court and so forth, and then the judge up there is going to make, as hard as you worked and everything, it's still going to be left up to that judge on what decision is going to be made. Do most of the time you agree with the judge, or in the past, or most of the time you had questions about certain things?
Well, most of the time I can say I agreed with the judge, and if we disagreed, we would just appeal the decision. But we're always respectful to the court. I've
actually used to go to the courthouse and sit in on some different trials and so forth, and it always you could see the lawyer and the judge having mutual respect for each other. It's got to be a common ground there that the lawyer has to be ethical, and so does the judge.
Absolutely, and the key to that is to not take things personally, because a lawyer is required to be a zealous advocate for their client, and of course the judge is required to make the decision. So.
Yeah. And of course, during the last 15 years of practicing law, did you ever think about being a judge?
I did. I didn't aspire to be a judge. It just kind of happened. But I did, and I always respected what a judge has to do and the position they're in and making tough decisions.
Exactly. Will, hey, here comes the judge, Will.
That's right.
And now, sometimes lawyers can get carried away sometimes. They get real excited and so forth. How do you handle something like that?
Well,
I don't. I've always been calm. I do not carry on, and I think judges appreciate that.
I know.
Some lawyers like to be showboats in front of the jury and all that, and I've never done that, and never will do that. And I've got my little girl working with me now, and she's been practicing 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Sonny's met her yet or not, but she graduated #1 in her class at Ole Miss.
That's
so
great.
she is smart.
Yeah.
And I've just been a joy having her with me, just like my daddy took me in when I started, and I took her in starting, and she'll be here when I'm gone. Maybe one or two of her kids will come back.
Good friend of mine, Tom Bo Brantley. Do you know Tom Bo?
Yes.
Tom Bo, of course, has been not doing very well, and hopefully he's doing much better. But good friend of mine, and of course an excellent attorney. You know, I've seen him in court a few times and so forth. And you know, I think that a judge has to have a certain amount of class and know how to deal with the certain situations. And you've got to use a lot of common sense, don't you?
You do. You can't ever forget, kind of like what Will was alluding to, when the judge puts on that black robe, the common sense can't go out the window. You've got to always have common sense.
Now, you will be wearing a robe, won't you?
I will.
Which I would think so. You need to know who the judge is.
That's right.
Yeah, state court judges are required to wear a robe. Now, now they've come out, they're saying city court judges should wear a robe, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to wear a robe. I've already, in the places I'm still a judge at, I'm not going to wear a robe.
Now, will you be able to communicate with Judge Head and some of the other guys and ask their opinions about different things?
Absolutely. I've spoken with Judge Head and Judge Hightower and told them that I'd like an open line of communication, and they gladly accepted that invitation.
How will you...
Mike, we had a judge in Dale County. He was on the bench for 38 years, just like Hightower. Hightower's been on the bench for a long time. Yeah. He was the longest serving circuit judge, and when he hit 70, he had to retire. Well, he's working harder now. He's been retired 4 or 5 years. He's working harder now. The AOC's sending him all over the state trying cases.
Same way with Judge Barr. Judge Barr is still, he retired a long time ago, and he's busier than ever, isn't he?
He is.
Well, he does mediations. In fact, he's fixed to do a mediation for me in a huge case, and he was chosen out of about 10 mediators between the two parties to mediate it. So he is an excellent mediator.
Well, let me tell you this. I like a judge that's hard-nosed, and this guy played football at Enterprise. He was flew helicopters in the war. Yeah. Hey, let me tell you something. This guy's hard-nosed enough to... Don't you think that helps you?
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't always be a nice guy. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. Somebody's going to be unhappy.
And, of course, Will, we appreciate you calling in this morning. And of course,
let me tell you why.
One thing about Will, he's going to tell it exactly like it is.
You can count on that.
I saw Sonny on there, but I was going to call you. I want to tell you what I did last weekend. I've got an aunt that's 83 years old. Now, she had a stroke Thanksgiving. But she's come back, and you really can't even tell she's had a stroke. She still plays golf. She plays bridge. She's a member of the Southwind golf course where they had the PGA tournament and Windike Country Club across the street. So she gets clubhouse tickets and all that. So every year I go visit her during the tournament, and I go.
I heard you were there this past weekend.
Right. I followed Dustin Johnson around. He hit a ball on a par 4. It was 507-yard par 4. He had 90 yards to the green, so that means he hit the ball 400 yards.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. The two people he were playing with, one of them was about 100 yards behind him, and the other one was in a fairway bunker about 100 yards behind him. And I was sitting there thinking, boy, they feel like they're in another world right now. And that guy shot 19 under par on a hard golf course.
This is the Danny Thomas tournament, is that right?
Right. And
in Memphis.
Every bit of the money goes to St. Jude.
Yeah. Which is a great program.
And the PGA Tour voted to move, for years and years, Firestone has had one of these invitational WGC events. First prize like $2 million. A huge tournament. Tigers won it 7 or 8 times. They have taken it away from Firestone and they gave it to Memphis. And so next year it's going to be at Memphis like in August.
Isn't that amazing?
And it'll be the top 60 players in the world there, and first place is going to be like $2 or $3 million. It's going to be huge.
And you got an aunt that lives in Memphis?
Oh yeah, she lives across the street.
On your mama's side or your daddy's side?
Daddy's side.
And of course,
I've got 2 relatives on my daddy's side still alive, and I've got one on my mama's side still alive in that generation.
And of course, your daddy was a Tennessee ball. Was a cheerleader for the University of Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
You know all about with those orange and blue, those orange guys, don't you?
Yeah, I don't like them.
And of course, your daddy became a big Alabama fan too, didn't he?
Yeah, he always was for Tennessee, and then when me and my kids all went to Alabama, and my sister and brother went to Alabama, he became Alabama.
Well, you know, with a judge, he can't be partial toward Alabama or Auburn or Troy. He can't be partial.
Well, you can be, but you don't like Judge Hightower, big Auburn.
Yeah. Have you read, you know, I know a lot of this is common sense and a lot of this is experience that you've had, you know, under different judges all over the country, you know, that you've, you know, have worked with and so forth. But it's a, do you actually use your library? You know, now Will's got a big library at his office. Do judges use the law library?
We do, and now most of the library is on the computer. So
which makes it so much easier.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
You definitely have to keep abreast of the latest decisions.
Yeah, and of course, you know, it's a lot more research that goes into this than people realize.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
A tremendous
I mean,
amount
when
of
you
reading.
adjourn and go, when you adjourn, then you go to work, don't
That's
you?
right. That's right.
And it's going to be different, isn't it?
It's going to be a lot different.
And you're looking forward to it.
I am, very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, our good friend Sonny Reagan, and I hope you'll come back.
I will.
Of course, we laid back television at its
like
very best, and Will found it on Facebook this morning. Will, you got anything else to say to the judge before you appear before him?
It's going to be a while. That's one thing you don't understand. He won't take office till mid-January.
Yeah. Now, will you be able to practice law in between then? Or
I
what?
will. I'm kind of winding things down right now. But I will.
Exactly right. You remind me of a good friend of mine. His name is Rusty Gibson. He's an attorney in Tuscaloosa. Do you know Rusty?
I know the name.
Well, you know, of course, his family has a long background in government here in Pike County over the years. His granddaddy was a probate judge and years and years. But you remind me of him. You know, a judge. You know, some of them are loud and boisterous and can be overbearing at times. Is that right?
That is correct.
And you're running a smooth cycle. Is that right?
That's right. That's what I always try to be. Even keel.
Exactly right. And of course, now when the former Enterprise Wildcat teammate of yours comes before you in court, what do?
I'll treat them the same as everybody else.
And, hey, all those close friendships. Hey, when it comes down to the law, you've got to go by the law, don't you?
That's right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And you'll be just like Coach Bryant.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Now, Mike knows I've represented Wilbur Jackson for years, and Wilbur and I have been friends for years, and there's not a finer man in Ozark than Wilbur Jackson. Well, I asked Wilbur one time, I said, Wilbur, did Coach Bryant treat you different since you were the first black on the team, you know, and did he treat you different than the white players? He said, no. He treated every one of us exactly the same, like crap.
Oh, God.
He treated them all bad. That
was,
well,
you're exactly right. I'm sure that's true. Will, we appreciate talking to you this morning.
Good hearing from you,
again, Sonny Reagan, Judge Sonny Reagan, it's been a pleasure, my friend, and we hope that you've enjoyed our show, and you'll come back on at different intervals over the years.
Absolutely.
That anytime we need to talk about the law and justice. And I was watching last night or on Sunday night. Lawyers are getting where they advertise a lot now. Have you noticed that?
They do.
And one of them, who is a friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, is Chip Nix. You know Chip?
I know Chip.
All right. And Chip, he comes on at 11 o'clock on Sundays, but I usually like to hear it because I like to hear these lawyers talk about different things, you know, and of course, again, you know, you can be strong and be a strong advocate at the same, of the law, but that judge is going to make the final decision.
That's right. That's right.
And so you can believe where you want to believe. It's still going to be left up to the judge. Is that right?
This is correct.
But have you, of course, what do you think about all this advertisement now? You know, this, especially on lawyers that go after these wrecks and all that.
Well, I've got mixed feelings about it. It's certainly really competitive being a lawyer out there. and I understand why some of them do it. But the Bar Association regulates a lot of that and the content, what you can and can't say. So it's certainly regulated, and sometimes probably needs to be regulated.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew that would be something that would be will be coming up in your courts. Where there's been an accident, and the first person you call is your lawyer. One of them said they advertise the fact that they'll be there if you're in an accident and will make you a bunch of money and whatever. Right. The law doesn't always look at it that way. Is that right?
That's correct. The judge has to look at it in an unbiased, fair way, not leaning either way.
Exactly right. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back to more of Today in L.A. right after this.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Here at Town & Country, we are proud to be an American.
We've had you covered on the inside since 2005, and with our addition of Southern Grill and Patio, we now have you covered on the outside. Come see our great selection, where we make sure grilling and relaxing go hand in hand.
Welcome to Trojan Detail.
Hey, I've been hunting. I got my truck filthy. Can you get it?
We surely can. We do work for Bill Jackson Chevrolet and Troy Nissan.
You do work for Bill Jackson Chevrolet?
Yes, we do.
Hey, I got a motorcycle.
We do them as well.
I'm already done from Dixie's Trails. You get your truck washed here?
I sure did.
Millie Johnson, I know you're not bringing them cow trucks, okay?
I do, and they're like me when I leave.
Loretta, what are you doing?
I'm here at Trojan Detail getting my car detailed.
Bring your vehicle to Trojan Detail. We do it all.
Here's some Napa know-how for you. Your local Napa Auto Parts store in Troy is under new ownership with an all-new fully stocked store. Big deal, you say? Big deal, we say. Like the ownership, the store has a new look, too. We're still delivering the same Napa quality and know-how, but we've increased our inventory and are committed to helping you find the parts you need when you need them. So come check us out. We've got the right part at the right price at the right time. Know-how, Napa know-how.
Back to our show, brought to you by Noble Manor on Botts Avenue right here in Troy. And, of course, Jimmy and Dale, when it comes to assisted living, no better place than their location on Park Street right here in Troy. And, of course, again, Noble Manor has been a big part of our show for several years now. Express Oil Change, located on the bypass. Now they're in the tire business, and they'll build, and also they do all kinds of mechanic work too at Express Oil on the bypass right here in Troy. And of course, Wells Fargo Advisors, my very good friend Colin McCreary, and of course he's been in that business a long time, and of course he can help your money grow, believe you me. And of course my good friend Denny Sanford at Sandbuck Insurance on the square in downtown Troy, and been around a long time. You know, that insurance company, Sandbuck Insurance, goes way back to the late 1800s when it was first F&M Bank located in downtown Troy. And, of course, they've been very supportive of our show, and we appreciate it very much. Jim Skinner Honda in Dothan, and my good friend Garnet Rigsby, they have a great selection of Hondas to choose from. And of course, Garnet Rigsby has been in the business a long time, and I promise you he can save you money on a Honda today. Town & Country Flooring, Scott and Lana Hartley, two very good friends of mine, and of course they're now also in the grill business. They've got, everybody talks about this green egg. Well, let me tell you this. They've got an American-made green egg that is next to none, and they've got a great selection of not only grills but outdoor furniture you'll find anywhere at Town & Country Flooring. Of course, when it comes to flooring, they've got you covered. Troy Nissan on the bypass, Dwayne Webb and all the great folks. No better place to buy a Nissan car or truck than right here on the bypass in Troy. And, of course, want to mention Sister's Restaurant and Coach Sonny Reagan, Judge Sonny Reagan, he's going to have a place to eat when he comes to Troy for part of his judgeship is in Pike and Coffee counties, and a great place to eat is Sister's Restaurant on the bypass here in Troy. And of course, remember they order from the menu on Monday and Tuesdays, and then they have the buffet on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and also on Sundays. One of the great places to eat in America is Sister's Restaurant right here in Troy. And of course, I want to mention Bird Drugs on the corner in downtown Troy, and boy, what a great breakfast they have, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 days a week. And of course, man, you can smell that bacon all over the square. You might can smell that bacon all the way to the courthouse, I promise you, right here in Troy. Of course, we're heading down the stretch of a lot going on in our community, and of course, one of them is tournament baseball, and we're going to bring Dan Smith into our show at the end of the week and talk about tournament baseball. And a lot of these young people are getting ready right now to start their tournament action, and of course we wish them a lot of luck with different teams all over this area. Of course, Troy American Legion is doing very well right now. They won, I want to say they won all 3 games on the weekend, and they've really done well so far this summer. Of course, want to congratulate a young man, Wood Genwright. Of course, you've heard of Reed Genwright, who was the first team All-State selection this past week in the Montgomery Advertiser. Well, this week, ladies and gentlemen, we want to compliment and congratulate Wood Genwright at being named Most Valuable Player of the Year. Pike Liberal Arts head baseball coach Alan Ponder called Wood Genwright his team's most valuable player. On Monday, Genwright was named as Troy Messenger's All-Area Player of the Year. Genwright played a pivotal role in the Patriots' first state championship since 2012. Wood was the MVP of our team this year, Ponder said. Wood doesn't get a lot of what he deserved because Wood is not your flashy baseball player. Everything Wood Genwright does is solid, and he's a steady baseball player, and he does everything that you need for him to do. Wood finished the season finished 5th on his team in batting average with a .374 batting average. Also, the senior had 40 of his team's games that he played in while driving in 44 runs and scoring 45 runs himself. So congratulations to Wood Genwright. He and his brother Reed Genwright, along with Nate Renfro, will all be heading to play junior college ball next year. And I know they're excited about that. So here's your top selections for the Alabama or the Pike County most valuable player. Of course, is Wood Genwright. On that team, and this is the Pike County All-Star team, Noah Lowry, a pitcher out of Charles Henderson with a 2.54 ERA. Was on that team. Nate Renfro from Pike Liberal Arts with a 1.80 ERA. He also hit 4 home runs and knocked in 38 RBIs. Jade Sykes made the team as a pitcher, 1.79 ERA, and struck out 40 batters. Dalton Bunch of Goshen was on the team as an infielder. He batted .365 on the year. Lawson Scarborough, the infielder out of Charles Henderson High School, batted a cool .438 with 1 home run and 12 extra base hits. Wood Genwright, as we mentioned, .374 average, 1 home run and 44 RBIs. Stanley McGuire, an infielder out of Goshen, batted .468 with 1 home run and 31 RBIs. He batted .468. Reed Genwright, of course, the twin brother of Wood Genwright, he batted .396, only on .396, right at .400, and hit 3 home runs and knocked in 42 RBIs. Brian Galloway of Goshen, the outfielder, batted .381 on the year. Cody Hollis, just a junior and a great center fielder, batted .409, and that was 48 runs scored. And Cole McWhorter, the young 10th grade catcher from Pike Liberal Arts, batted .388, and he hit 4 home runs and knocked in 34 RBIs. And then the coach of the year was Alan Ponder of Pike Liberal Arts School, who led his team to a state championship, 35-5 record in the Alabama Independent School. So that is your Messengers top 12 players of the year, and congratulations to them. Of course, there's talk everywhere you go. Will Neil Brown be at Troy next year after the season? Of course, a good article in today's paper talks about how Neil Brown loves Troy and lives where he is. Troy head coach Neil Brown spent lunch with the members of the Alabama Sports Writers Association on Sunday during a group annual convention in Montgomery, and the question arrived many times during the conversation was what's going to happen if he's given the opportunity to go to coach at a little bigger venue. Well, he said he loves Troy, and as far as he's concerned, he'll coach in Troy for the rest of his life. Isn't that a great way to put it? You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, morning.
Mike Amos calling in. Mike, we had Judge Sonny Reagan on our show today, and I'm very impressed with him and the way he carries himself. Of course, he's a former Enterprise Wildcat football player who later on flew helicopters in 2 or 3 different warlike situations. Then he came back to Enterprise and became an attorney, and now is our judge of the circuit court in the 12th circuit. So we're excited about him.
The judge for Coffee and Pike County, is that right?
That's right, judge for Coffee and Pike County. Mike,
I wish I could have stayed on and listened to him. Had a crying baby I had to attend to.
Well, that's part of it, and I appreciate you calling in this morning. And Mike Amos calling in from Birmingham. What kind of weather do we have this morning?
That was a real close race with him and Josh Wilson. I think Josh Wilson won Pike County, and then Reagan won Coffee County. But,
and I like the idea that they have such
you got a few
mutual.
more voters probably in Coffee County, I would imagine.
No question, but it also shows you the class that both of these these men have. They're very complimentary of each other and so forth. And of course, Sonny won the election and will be our next circuit court judge. Julio Jones is going to miss the Falcons mini camp, which doesn't concern me much. But Julio,
so that's something that should definitely happen. There's like 6 or 7 more receivers in the NFL making more money than Julio Jones, and Julio Jones ought to be the top earner as far as wide.
Julio Jones for the next 5 years will make $71 million with $47 million guaranteed money, which is unbelievable. That means he could quit tomorrow and he'd get $47 million. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll be heading over to Tuscaloosa today, and there'll be Julio Jones Kia signs everywhere. He's got a Kia dealership.
Exactly. He is due $10.5 million this season, $12.5 million in 2019, and $11.4 million in 2020. Bless his heart.
I know we got different opinions of President Trump, but last night was really historic with him meeting with Kim from North Korea. Did you watch any of that?
I didn't get to see all of it, but what went on?
Well, basically a person, from a country that basically has, had hatred for the United States forever, and of course Donald Trump had threatened back and forth with him and Kim. They were brought together last night in Singapore and shook hands and spoke about, hopefully pulling the nuclear weapons away from his country. That's a historic.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
They're comparing it to when Reagan met Gorbachev.
Yeah.
Years ago.
I think You're right, Mike.
Every single network, mentioned it was historic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, definitely a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you know what? If this man loves his country, if this leader loves his country, the United States could help this country get back on its feet. If they can work out these things, I think everybody will agree it would be one of the greatest accomplishments known to man. I really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, it was something, that everybody that was on the news last night said they never thought they'd see this in their lifetime. So definitely one of those things that hopefully something will come of it, I hope.
No question about it. We're talking to Mike Amos from Birmingham this morning. Mike, tell us about what's happening in downtown Birmingham. Of course, Troy University's end zone is almost completed right now.
I saw that yesterday. Man, it looks good.
And it really, really looks good and so forth.
When you look at that stadium now, and then look at the basketball arena, and of course we've always had nice baseball facilities. I mean, Troy's facilities have got to be, top notch.
The mid-level there is good as any mid-level program in the country.
Yeah,
and, no question.
Driving down the hill yesterday from Crow Hill and seeing the stadium off there in the distance, it's really pretty. It really is.
It really is. And I tell you what, I don't know if it's the chancellor, I don't know if it's who it is, but somebody's doing a great job of making our campus look great. I used to, constantly.
Wouldn't that be the physical plan?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not just a physical plan. It's somebody else making decisions on what should be, what type of architecture they use, and the little things. Somebody's doing a great job with it. For all those years.
They've hired a lot of landscape engineers.
You and I have ridden over the mountain in Birmingham many times and looked down and saw Samford University and said to ourselves, what a beautiful campus. But, I promise you, Troy University can say the same thing. It is a beautiful campus.
She toured numerous schools, Clemson, Wake Forest, Davidson, I think pretty much all the schools in the SEC. She went to Texas and ended up deciding to go to Mississippi State because they had a really good art school. She's, that's kind of her passion, but she raves about Troy University. She thinks it's really pretty.
Yeah, no question about it, and they do a great job. And, just walking through that campus, you can tell that somebody's taking great pride in the way you look, and that has half of it beat, don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good recruitment tool, for kids coming in or people just driving through to see it.
Of course, we've got baseball galore going on, and of course, last night, what a day yesterday, Mike. Was that unreal or not, to have 4 games like that on Monday?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a college baseball fan, you were in heaven yesterday. I mean, you had 4 games starting at, I think, 11 o'clock with Texas and Tennessee Tech. So,
and everybody is
baseball.
Yeah, and everybody's raving over Arkansas, Mike. How good they are. They just walloped South Carolina yesterday in that final game. And then, of course, Texas beat a good Tennessee Tech team. And, it just goes to show you how close Tennessee Tech came from going to the College World Series.
Well, I mean, they're 1 game away.
What's the name of that little town in Tennessee?
Cookeville.
Cookeville, Tennessee. And, boy, and you know what? Troy University with another pitcher here and there and maybe a little more pop in their lineup, they could have done the same thing. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this. From the bottom up, from the first batter to the 4th batter, I would have put Troy up against anybody.
I mean, they had, I think, at least the top 5 guys were all, high 300s. Of course, Dennison was hovering around 400.
And we still did not hear whether or not Joey Dennison, who batted right at 400, whether he is going to get a chance to play in the pros. I hope he does.
Yeah, maybe he'll get invited to training, spring training or some kind of training with some kind of ball club. And
let me tell you this, you bat 400 at any level, and you've done something very unique, no question about it. Again, though, they had the shortstop.
Coach Smart even mentioned during the season. You know, he was one of the top 5 hitters he'd ever seen as a coach.
That is saying a lot.
Yeah,
No
I mean, you're talking about a
question
coach to hit 400.
Nobody credit. All right, from Troy. All right, give us Troy's first 4 batters. Give me Troy's first 4 batters, and I'd put them against anybody. Who would that be?
Yeah, Sanders.
Sanders was drafted in the 10th round.
Sanders, Frederick, Dennison, and Lockridge.
And Frederick's just a junior. Lockridge, you go on Facebook and he's got a picture of him in a New York Yankee uniform.
Now Frederick was a sophomore this year, so he'll be a junior next year.
So he'll be a junior. Boy, what a great player he is. And then, of course, Dennison, Mike.
Yeah, so your top 4 were Sanders, Frederick, Dennison, and Lockridge. That's pretty good.
And those 4, I would put those 4 players up against anybody. The starting 4.
Also, the freshman of the year was number 5.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me throw him in there. Rigsby. What was his last name? Rigsby Mosley, a pure freshman and the freshman of the year in the conference, Mike. Put him in there. I would put their 5 up against anybody.
Yeah, that was press them on up.
But tell me about this guy from Florida that hit the walk-off home run. He had hit 2 long shots prior to then. Is that right?
Yeah, I just watched the highlight. Man, the Auburn guy had it right in his glove at the wall, and when he hit the wall, it bounced off his glove, went over.
Well, the same thing happened to Lockridge the other day against Duke, very similar to that, where if his glove doesn't go up there, he probably don't knock it out of the ballpark.
Yeah, it's one of those type things. The momentum, you just really can't do anything about it.
But, ladies and gentlemen,
I saw a game in Major League Baseball one time when a guy jumped back and he tried to catch it and it bounced off his head over the field.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell you right now, for Auburn, you Auburn fans don't have anything to feel sorry about because they sure did have a great year. Ended up with 43 wins and battled Florida all the way to the end. Florida is the defending national champion in baseball, and Mike, they probably will win it again. What do you think?
I mean, I would say I would take either them or probably Mississippi State out of the SEC because they're just red hot, and then possibly, I like Oregon State.
Because we watched the Troy Mississippi State game a couple of weeks ago, played out at the Hoover Met, and Troy came back and went ahead in the 11th inning. Is that right?
No, they went ahead in the 9th.
In the 9th.
They came back with 1 run off C.J. Carter, and then it went to, I think, the 10th, and there was an error, and they ended up winning the game.
Yeah. Mike, I'm going to approach.
That was Mississippi State's home game.
Yeah, I know it.
I mean, Mississippi State fans live around the Birmingham area.
Boy, that was a big crowd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When it comes to baseball, you growing up, and you remember how we used to go in the hat shop. One of the most popular hats there nationwide was the Mississippi State hat. Why?
I don't know,
But everybody wanted a Mississippi State hat. Why is that?
I mean, that embroidery, I guess. They like the lettering, they like the way it looks.
But it is one of the most popular hats out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is in college.
No question about it. And, of course, Mississippi State has just completed tell me about that facility.
Their new baseball stadium is going to be $61 million.
$61 million for a baseball field?
Yeah. Well, shoot, the new stadium in Birmingham is going to be $175 million.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
But that's a football stadium, though, isn't it?
UAB is going to pay $25,000 a game.
Are they really? Well, they'll be able to do that. Surely they will. Of course, it's going to enhance.
Alabama Board of Trustees can do that real easy.
But, Mike, that's going to really enhance UAB football. And I'll tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty big stadium. It's going to be 55,000.
Yeah,
that's not a little stadium.
That's not a little stadium at all. And they're going to play a lot of games. I went down at Sanford and some of those other schools didn't use that facility.
They got the pro team. They'll start playing there. The Lions Football League, Birmingham team will play there.
And I could see some other teams using it too. And
they'll make the high school state championship game there for sure.
Yeah. And of course, I went down if they didn't.
It's kind of sad for those kids because don't you know these kids growing up in Alabama always dream to play in Bryant Denny's shirt and hair. But
how many times throughout the years when you and your daddy went to an Alabama football game and used to walk around the infield. You remember how we get there early and you could walk all the way around the inside of the stadium, and you could almost touch Coach Bryant. You remember that?
Yeah, you could walk around the fence.
You remember when Tennessee used to come to the town and how they used to keep playing that Rocky Top, and Coach Bryant told them told somebody one time that he loved that song, but he hated it when Tennessee made a touchdown. Mike, I want to.
It's definitely a lot of good memories of Legion Field, but I'm definitely glad they moved all the games to Bryant-Denny. It was something that I enjoyed when I was a kid, but as I've gotten older in life, I love going to Tuscaloosa.
No question. Mike, I want to mention this before we go off air. A good friend of mine, ladies and gentlemen, has moved back to Troy, and we're excited about it. Bill Rice Jr., Mike, has moved his family back to Troy. Can you believe that?
Well, that's great.
Of course, Bill Rice Jr., a good friend of mine, is going to be on this show this week.
I'm sure Bill will be a big part of the community.
And, Bill Rice Jr. brings a lot of history back with him, too, He knows of old Troy and so forth. Of course, his dad was my good friend. Well, Mike, we sure do appreciate you calling in this morning. I hope you have a great day.
I'll talk to you later.
And we'll see you soon. And, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate Sonny Reagan. I'm going to self-proclaim, and I do this a lot. I'm going to self-proclaim it is Sonny Reagan Day in Pike and Coffee County. Today, we proclaim it Sonny Reagan Day in Pike and Coffee County. The new judge is in town. The new judge is in town. See you tomorrow.